Hello everyone. Today we will discuss one of the most interesting topic in the subject stylistics, and that is cognitive stylistics. So if you are a student or you are a researcher, this lecture will be very fruitful and you're going to learn a lot about cognitive stylistics. So let's begin our today's lecture. So what is cognitive stylistics? Cognitive stylistics is one of the main branch of stylistics. It deals with our cognition. You can see this picture. Here we have mind. So it tells cognitive stylistic tells us that when you as a reader reads a text, what is going on in your mind? Okay? Or what is your background knowledge when you interpret a text? Right? So what kind of background knowledge? What kind of linguistic knowledge? Okay? What kind of previous knowledge you're going to imply? You're going to utilize when you interpret the text. So we will discuss this in detail and it will be a comprehensive lecture on cognitive stylistics. Let's see in detail. Definition and meaning of cognitive stylistics. Cognitive stylistics focuses primarily on hypothesizing about what happens during the reading process and how this influences the interpretation the reader generate about the text they are reading. So what it tells that cognitive stylistic primarily focuses on that what is going on or what happens during the reading process when you as a reader reads a text, right? So how your reading is influenced by other forces like your background knowledge when you interpret the text, right? So how this influence the interpretation the reader generate about the text they are reading. It proceeds on the assumption that reading is an active process and that readers consequently play an active role in constructing the meaning of a text. So it means that meaning are not only in the text, but meaning are also in the mind of the reader. Right? So on the one hand we have text, on the other hand we have mind. So in the mind you have a previous knowledge about the text, you have a background knowledge about the text, you have a linguistic knowledge about the text. So text, it plays a role, or text is like trigger your background knowledge. You operate, you regulate, you generate your background knowledge. So your background knowledge is only generated, it only functions when you read a text, right? So text is a kind of cues, right, or a kind of clue, and it triggers your background knowledge. So meaning do not only reside, do not only exist in the text, but meaning also exists in the mind of the reader. Now, cognitive stylistic has drawn considerable influence from the work in areas such as cognitive science, generally, psychology, computing, and artificial intelligence. So cognitive stylistics, it has been influenced, or it has got influence from where? From cognitive science generally, psychology, computing, and artificial intelligence. So you can say that cognitive stylistic emerge from these areas: cognitive science, psychology, computing, and artificial intelligence. Now, schema theory. What is schema theory? Cognitive stylistic is predicated on the notion that readers are actively involved in the process of meaning making. If you are a reader and you read a text, so you are actively involved, right, in meaning making process. So meaning is not located solely in the formal structure of the text, but it is in a sense negotiated as a result of readers utilizing aspect of their pre-existing background knowledge of the real world as they read. So, for example, you read about a character, right? You read about an event, you read about a situation, you read about a thing. So you have already background knowledge about the thing. For example, tree. You have a knowledge of the tree, that what a tree is, how a tree looks like. Or if you read about a situation, for example, there is a wedding ceremony, right? So you have background knowledge of the wedding ceremony or a funeral ceremony, right? Of, like in Pashtun, a jarga system, right? Or you read, right, that the students, they are in school or they are at university, they are in college. So you have already a world knowledge about such kind of situation, about the things, about the events. And when you read a text, so your background knowledge, it is generated, right? Or it becomes active. So then you make meaning of the text by utilizing your background knowledge. Fine. So meaning, they do not only exist in the text, but meaning are also in the mind of the reader. So you are going to pass through a meaning making process when you read a text. Fine. Now, on the one hand, we have projection. On the other hand, we have construction. So what is the difference between projection and construction? Let's see. In a distinction of how readers make sense of the fictional world of poems, Semino makes a useful distinction between what she terms projection and construction. So although her distinction is centered primarily around explaining how readers generate images of fictional world, Semino's terms are useful more generally for explaining the way in which readers make sense of what they read. So text project meaning. So what is projection? Right? Projection is the result of the text, or text project meaning while readers construct it. So you have a text in front of you. So the text will project meaning to you. And then you will utilize your mind, your background knowledge, and then you will construct meaning. So text project meaning while readers construct it. That is, text contain triggers. There are words. There are sentences. There are question marks. There are discourse marker. So there will be some sentences, there will be some expression, and those expression will trigger and they will activate aspect of reader's background knowledge. For example, you read about a feminist aspect of a character. So you have already a background knowledge. So when you read feminist aspect of a character, so your background knowledge is activated, right? Or when you read a situation, there's a conversation between a police and a criminal. So you have already like background knowledge in your society about a police and about a criminal. So when you read the term police, so a kind of image is generated in your mind. And when it is generated in your mind, so that is the background knowledge. So text, it triggers what? Your background knowledge. So text, it project. And then you're going to do what? To construct meaning of the text. How you construct meaning of the text? Already you have background knowledge in your mind. So this then allows reader to construct mental representation of the world of the text, right? So again and again I'm telling you that meaning do not only reside in the text, but meaning also reside in the mind of the reader. Right? So you're going to read a text. And when you read a text, certain words, certain expressions, certain sentences will trigger the background knowledge or will generate the background knowledge, whatever you're reading. So then you will associate your background knowledge with what? With the text you are reading. So this is okay, the difference between text projection and construction. So meaning are constructed by the reader, while meaning are projected by the text. So text projection and then meaning construction. Bottom up processing and top down processing. So we have two kind of mind processing. One is called bottom up, one is called top down. Let's discuss them. A useful and related notion is the psychological distinction between bottom up processing and top down processing. Remember, this bottom up processing and top down processing resembles with text projection and text construction. So they are used in relation to text comprehension. So when we comprehend a text, so these two kinds of processing are used. The former refer to the practice of inferring meaning from textual cues. This is a former one. So bottom-up processing is used when meaning are extracted, right? Meaning are extracted from textual cue. So we have a text, we have words on the page, we have sentences on the page, we have paragraphs on the page. So these texts, they act or they play a role of cues. So when meaning are extracting or meaning are taken from these cue of textual cue, so we call this is what bottom up processing. While the later term describe the practice of utilizing background knowledge to lead understanding. So when you utilize your background knowledge and you construct meaning, this is called them what? Top-down processing. This one, top-down processing. So when you utilize your background knowledge and you construct meaning, this is called top-down processing. And when you take cues from the text or textual cues are there and you construct meaning or you take meaning, this is called bottom up processing, right? So bottom up processing maps on the notion of projection. You can see here that bottom up processing maps onto the notion of projection. As we learn text projection, since both refer to the means by which meaning is drawn from a text by the reader. So through both processing, we take meaning. If that is bottom-up processing, we see the text and we take the meaning. Or if that is top-down processing, we utilize our background knowledge and we take the meaning from the text. So both refer to meaning-making process. Top-down processing maps onto the notion of construction, right? As we learn here, top-down processing. So top-down processing maps onto the notion of construction. We construct meaning as on previous slide we discussed here. That is construction, right? Since both of these terms refer to readers utilizing pre-existing world knowledge to make sense of what they read. So both, because when you read a text, you have some cues and you construct meaning. This is also you're using your background knowledge. And if you are using your background knowledge to understand the text, it's also background knowledge. So both refer to what? Pre-existing knowledge of the world to make sense of what they read, what the readers read. In practice, reading a text involves engaging in both bottom-up and top-down processing. So when we read a text, so we utilize both processing, bottom-up and top-down. Simultaneously, what we will concentrate on this section is what it means to involve pre-existing knowledge in the interpretation of text. In this respect, we will explain some of the theoretical notions concerning how readers are able to store prior knowledge and access it as they read. The very suggestion for how this might work may be taken together as constituting what is often referred to as schema theory, because everything that is stored in our mind. So why we call it like cognitive stylistic? Because everybody has different schema. Everybody has different world knowledge. If I am living in this culture, Pashtun culture, so I have my own schema. Okay, and if you're living in Punjab community, so you have your own schema. And if you are living in India, so you have your own schema. If you are living in any European country, so you have your own schema. So it depends, okay, that what kind of background knowledge you have. It depends on the social culture background you are having. Right? I have my own social cultural background. You have your own social cultural background. I have my own education system. You have your own education system. I have my own linguistic abilities. You have your own linguistic ability. So everybody has different cognition. That's why we call it, okay, that cognitive stylistics, right? So how like this pre-existing knowledge is stored in our mind and how we utilize it, right? This make cognitive stylistics. Now, schema, script, and frames. So here we will discuss schemas, scripts, and frames. The term schema refers to an element of background knowledge. As I told you that everybody has different schema. So there is background. Schema is what? It's a background knowledge. And it depends that in which culture, what is your socio-cultural background? What is your educational background? Okay? And in which society you're living. About a particular aspect of the world. So we have schemas for people and then we have different schema. We have schemas for people, we have schema for objects, we have schema for situation and events. So everybody has different schema for different things, for different people, for different situation and for different events. As an example, most people will have a job interview schema. So we have schema for people, that how people look like or what people believe, okay, or what people do. We have different schemas for objects also, that how objects look like. We have also schema for situation, right? We have also schema for different events. And then these schemas vary person to person, right? And culture to culture. As an example, most people will have a job interview schema which they will use to help them navigate their way through such a situation. So we know, okay, that when we go to interview, so how the panel is, what kind of questions are asked, what to wear, how to speak, right? And what will be the level of formality. So we have a background knowledge, okay? We have pre-existing knowledge about such kind of situation. Or if you are going to a wedding ceremony, so you know that how to attend a wedding ceremony, how to talk to people, or if there's like a culture that you also take a gift for them. So you have a background knowledge for such kind of situation, or how to meet someone, how to meet a friend, how to talk to your teacher. So this schema may include such information as how the interview room is likely to be set out, okay? And where I will sit, where the panel will sit, and what kind of questions are expected to be asked, how many people are likely to be on the interview panel, and what is expected to the candidate, etc. So we have schemas, right? We have background knowledge, okay? We have previous knowledge which exists in our mind, okay? And we you see that it comes through experience, right? You might have gone for an interview, you have experience, or might be one of your friend has gone for interview and he or she tells you about the interview situation, okay? Or might be you have watched television. On television you have got such kind of information about the interview. So sometimes you yourself experience such kind of situation, and sometimes you gain information from television, from other friends, from books, from novel, from dramas, from etc. Okay, so these all kind of informations are stored in your mind. So whenever you read a text, okay, so all these background information are activated or generated. So schemas, plural, that is schemata, also encompasses linguistic behavior. For instance, anyone with a well-developed job interview schema will be aware that it is common practice in such a situation for an interviews to violate the Grecian maxim of quantity, as they attempt to provide as much information about themselves as it possible, right? So you are going to violate. So this maxim of quantity is violated, and everybody know about this. And McIntyre's 2010 provide a full discussion of what the linguistic content of a job interview schema might be and how particular stylistic effect might be generated by deviating from this. So if you deviate from such kind of stylistic effect, so what kind of results you are going to face? It should be clear from our discussion so far that schemas are distilled from past experience. Okay, whatever you have experienced. So from our experience, right, we can say that it is our background knowledge, okay, or previous knowledge. But it's not important that all time you experience something, then it is stored in your mind. From your surrounding, right, whatever you see, you might have watched, you might have read, you might have been informed by someone else, your teachers might told you, right, in your neighboring someone might told you, in your peer group someone might told you, okay, in books you might have read. So from other sources you also collect information, and these all are stored in your mind. Nevertheless, we do not have to have experienced something directly in order to build a schematic conception of. It's not important that you experience, but you can gain information and then you store. For example, it's likely that most people have a script for a murder investigation, though only a few people will have constructed this schema from direct experience. You might not have experienced like murder investigation, but murder investigation you might have watched in a drama, CID drama, or any other like any other fiction, right? Crime fiction. So for this majority of people, such a script will have been composed from watching television, police dramas, and reading crimes novel. So it follows too that schemas are not static, rather they are dynamic in the sense that they are developed as a result of experience. So these schemas, they are not permanent. They are not static, but they are dynamic, because with different experiences, with different information, your past knowledge, okay, your background knowledge may change. So what you thought about a crime in the past 10 years ago, you might think now differently, because in the last 10 years you are experiencing something differently, but now you are experiencing something differently. So these schemas or schematic knowledge, it might be changed with the passage of time. So thank you so much. It was a comprehensive lecture on cognitive stylistics. I hope you might have learned a lot from this lecture. Please do provide your valuable comment and feedback in comment section. Thank you so much.